So
my favorite Google Hangout to watch was when he was on the plane giving feedback back. Yeah, that was awesome. I was cracking up when I saw that.
Yeah, he joins from anywhere he is. Usually he jumps. But if not, I'll let him watch this. So Ross, it's all yours. We are your coaches. We will we'll jump in however you need us to.
Awesome. Can you guys see the screen back there? Okay, are you good? Same thing.
Sure.
No, it's great.
Awesome. So our second principle has to do with improvement. As coaches, we all have the same ultimate goal: to help our athletes be better than yesterday, both as athletes and as people. Remember PCA: better athletes,
Better people.
That's right. So today we're going to talk about mastery, specifically get into effort versus outcome. Oh. This happened last time. There we go. So first we're going to begin with a video clip from one of our National Advisory Board members, Dr. Carol Dweck. She's the author of a very popular book called Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. Has anybody heard of it before, read it, come across it before? Awesome. Yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite books. I've read it 4 or 5 times and has definitely shaped my life as a teacher, coach, and just person in general. So in the book, she talks about 2 different types of mindsets, fixed and growth, and then goes into why a growth mindset is better. So definitely recommend checking that book out after this presentation. So as a psychology professor at Stanford University, her findings and research have deeply influenced our coaching model. So without further ado, here is Dr. Dweck. So play the video, and then she had some really interesting things to say there. Take 15 seconds to digest and reflect on what she said. 15 seconds goes by, get people to share out, all that kind of stuff. Does anybody want to share out or just keep going? Nope. Okay.
No, because somebody will share. Somebody will share. I would say the one thing that stuck out for me was that I just assumed that my players knew that I valued practice and effort. I didn't know it was something, until she said that. I wondered if you pulled my players aside and asked them if how their coach showed you they valued practice and effort, they might not know. So that was interesting to me.
Definitely. Anybody else? So 2016, I was fortunate to give a TEDx talk on a very similar topic, growth mindset effort, with my experiences as a teacher, coach, and world-ranked triathlete. So I looked at a specific life equation: E plus R equals O. Event plus response determines the outcome. We have no control over the events that happen to us, but what we can control is our response to those events, which then influences the outcome. And then that outcome then becomes the next event that we must respond to. So I looked at the R piece of the equation through a growth mindset lens, where the R piece, our response, represents what we can control in life, which is our efforts, our actions, and our attitude. So with all of this in mind, how do you get athletes to believe that they can get better? So as coaches already throughout the season, you guys already do this. So take 30 seconds to think about what you do during your season from day 1 until the last game. What do you already do to get your athletes to believe that they can get better? Take 30 seconds to think. 30 seconds goes by. All right, with a partner, somebody behind you, somebody next to you, share about what you do as coaches throughout the season to get athletes to believe that they can get better. Take 2 minutes to share. 2 minutes goes by. And so what we have found, 3 things to get athletes to believe that they can get better. Number 1, tell them you value their effort more than their talent. Number 2, become a noticer of their effort. And number 3, attribute their success to their effort in practice and in games. So what I love about those 3 things is that they go hand in hand with our first principle, filling the E tank. Fill your players' E tank based on the effort that you see, that you notice in practice and in games. So an example from my life as a high school cross country and track coach, before the big races, the end of the season races, the guys get really nervous. So what I love to tell them is that the race today is just an opportunity to put on display all the hard work that you've already done. This is just an opportunity to show everybody here all the training that you've done to get you ready for the race today. So we relive the workouts that they went through, how the workouts build on top of one another, and how they are prepared for the race today. So what that does is it connects the big scary race today back to previous success, previous effort that they put in, rather than the race being this standalone event. So something that you could take and use tomorrow at practice would be the phrase, "That was a great play. You've been working hard in practice, and it really shows." Something as simple as that. So with the Elm Tree of Mastery, we really get to differentiate between the scoreboard definition of success and the mastery definition of success. So with the scoreboard definition of success, players and coaches are only focused on the end result. If you win, you're a winner. And if you lose, you're a loser. They constantly compare themselves to others and other teams, and mistakes are not an okay thing. Whereas with the mastery definition of success, it's a focus on effort. It focuses on learning, and mistakes are an okay thing because that's how you learn. A prerequisite for aggressive play and peak performance is that the players on your team not be afraid to make mistakes. So with the mastery definition of success, we call this ELM, effort, learning, mistakes, or the Elm Tree of Mastery. So that's where we got that from. So research shows that in a mastery-based environment, anxiety goes down and self-confidence goes up. So like we talked about earlier with negativity, it distracts and takes the athlete's mind out of the moment. The same thing with anxiety. Negativity and anxiety definitely do not lead to peak performance. So a mastery-based environment is best for players because it gives them a sense of control. So envision with me, your team is getting ready to take on their big rival next week. What are the odds? What's the percentage that you think your team will win? I'm going to guess you say somewhere close to 50-50, about a 50% chance that your team will win that game. But let me ask you these two things. What are the odds? What is the percentage that your team gives its best effort? 100%, I hope. What are the odds? What is the percentage that the players on your team, somebody makes a mistake, quickly rebounds from that mistake, and is ready for the next play? I'm going to say 100%. So those two scenarios there, those two examples represent things that are always under your players' control, giving their best effort and rebounding from mistakes. So what I want you guys to do now, grab your books, and I want you guys to open up all the way to your back cover. And in the back cover, I want you to write down 3 sport-specific examples to the sport that you coach that players on your team are always in control of. Take a minute to do this. So write down 3 things that players on your team are always in control of. All right, let's hear it. Name one thing, name a couple things that players on your team are always in control of.
Their hustle.
Hustle, love it. Does anybody got anything else?
In the sport of volleyball, they're always in control of what they're doing in between rallies when the ball's not in play. They have total control of what they're looking at, thinking about, where they stand, how they interact with their teammates.
Definitely, love it. Ryan, you got anything for us?
Absolutely. In baseball, taking a good mental approach to the plate.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Thanks for sharing, guys. So in my life as a cross-country coach, the courses are they're all different. Not all courses are the same. Some are set up for fast times and the guys to hit their lifetime bests, and some are just naturally slow. They're hilly, it's got tall grass. So what I tell my guys is you can't control the course, but there are a whole bunch of other things that you can control that will lead to you running your best possible race. So some of these things include how fast you start off the race. What is your pacing plan? What did you eat the night before the race? What did you eat the morning of the race? How well did you stretch? What was your warm-up plan? Running all the way across the finish line, not slowing down as you cross the finish line, but running all the way through and then slowing down. So as a cross-country coach, those are kind of things that I preach to my athletes, things that they can control. So with this discussion of mastery, we have to hit on goal setting as well. So as coaches, we need to be an example and reinforce effort-based goals and not scoreboard goals. So think about those 3 things that you wrote down in the back of your book. If your players accomplish those 3 things every practice and every game, chances are you're going to be very successful on the scoreboard. So setting and accomplishing effort-based goals will lead to the desired scoreboard results. Winning is a byproduct on the road to mastery. So an example from my life as an athlete, 2013, I got second at USA Triathlon National Championships. Had a great race. Looking forward, 2014 Nationals, I was tunnel vision on win. Winning is all that mattered. If I got first, absolutely, that's what I wanted. Second, third, fourth, fifth, any other place, I lost. I had great training leading up to the race, felt great about going into it, and race day came for 2014 National Championships, and unfortunately, very far from my day. I finished in 11th place. Fortunately, I had 3 weeks later, the opportunity to compete in the World Championships against those same competitors, as well as the best guys from around the world. Between these two races, I shifted my mindset to focus on racing the best race that I was possible of, giving it my best effort with my best attitude, no matter what place I was in. I recognized I couldn't control how fast my opponents were. I couldn't control their training, but what I could control is my effort and my attitude in training and the race. Race day came, and it really could not have gone any better. I beat all those competitors who had beaten me 3 weeks earlier. So I was the first American and finished third place overall and got a bronze medal at the World Championships. So that is my personal example of setting and achieving effort-based goals will lead to the desired scoreboard results. So a scenario to put all of this into practice. Your team tends to play tentatively and lets the opponents drive the action. Take 30 seconds to think about what you would do as a coach to up the energy level of your players and to get your team to play more aggressive. All right, finding the people around you, group of 2, group of 3, group of 4, doesn't matter. I want you guys to share about the strategies that you would use as a coach to up the energy level of your players and to get them to play more aggressive. Take 3 minutes to share. 3 minutes goes by. All right, what are some good ideas that you guys heard? What are some things that you thought of? Let's hear them.
I thought that I would ask them a question. During a break in the action, I'd get them all together and I'd ask them, what is the thing, or what are the things we can control right now in this moment?
Awesome. I love that. Building on the mastery environment. Great, Ruben. Anybody have anything else?
Ross,
I like to get
the question.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, I was just going to say, can you repeat the question, Ross?
Absolutely. So as a coach, what can you do to up the energy level of your players and to get them to play more aggressive?
So I had a particular athlete that was just a really intense individual on the mound. And so actually what I would do when I noticed those times is I'd go out and I would actually tell him a joke, or just something to get him to take a deep breath, relax a little bit, and realize, the severity of the situation isn't that high, and it actually ended up bringing out his best.
That's awesome. I love that. Kelly, you have anything for us?
I do. I just remind my players what they've done well. I have little girls, and sometimes they just need to be reminded of all the things they've done well in the game so far. So if I see them being tentative, just pumping them up with just truth, man. Like, this is what you guys have done so far. You've you've hustled to the ground balls. You beat these defenders, and you're playing as a team. You're tossing the ball around really well. And sometimes that's all they need to just pop themselves out of it.
That's awesome. I love all those things you guys said. Thanks for sharing. That's great. So, Elm Tree of Mastery, the takeaways. Focusing on effort is the key to performance. Setting and achieving those effort-based goals will lead to the desired scoreboard results. Winning is a byproduct on the road to mastery. Assertive, aggressive play comes when there is no fear of mistakes. A prerequisite for players to hit their peak performance is that they not be afraid to make mistakes. Going hand in hand with this is that when players do make mistakes, they have to quickly not focus on the mistake, but be ready for that next play. So page 23 of your book has some great real-life examples that teams out there use of different mistake rituals that help their players be ready for the next play and not so concentrated on the mistake that it completely blows the rest of the game. So this includes, as silly as it sounds, the toilet flush it mistake ritual. There's the brush it off. There's wipe it off. Page 23 has got some great real-life examples of that. and then become a noticer of effort and reward successful and unsuccessful effort. So again, in your book, page 27 does a great job of explaining this. And what this says is that when you as a coach reward a player's effort in both success and failure, what that cues the player is that you focus and care about their effort more than just the end outcome, which is what we want in a mastery-based environment. So here's a quick video from Major League Baseball player Curtis Granderson and his flush it mistake ritual, like I just talked about, and again, why it's so important to have one of those to help your players be ready for the next play. Play the video. So that was our second principle, the elm tree of mastery, and now time for our third and final, honoring the game. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well done. You can tell you like that principle.
That's my favorite, for sure.
That's great. You got through that pretty quick. What time is it? 2:17. Yeah, you got through that one pretty quickly too.
But there were many times where he fast forwarded our 2-minute discussion, and I mean,
Oh yeah,
the real time that format and as interactive as you made it,
yeah, good pace.
the real time would easily be double.
Oh
in
yeah,
a real situation. So it was not. I know Kelly wasn't saying this. She wasn't saying it was too fast. She was saying that.
No, I was saying it was good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was very good.
Thank you.
Kelly, can I start with this question? Kelly?
Sure.
Ross, I'm curious from your last demo to this demo, if there was anything in particular you were trying to do differently or apply, any piece of feedback from last time you were trying to apply.
Absolutely. I tried to get in some more personal real life examples from coach athlete. That's what I really tried to work in more on this round.
Mm-hmm.
No, that jumped out at me for sure, and it looks like Ryan and Kelly noticed it too.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, no problem. No, what I was going to say just about the interactive piece, I think this principle has a tendency to have people drone on because there's so much research behind it. There's so much, there's so many details. There's so many examples. And I think you keeping what you did to us to about 15 minutes, as Ruben said, it's going to give the opportunity for the coaches to really dive into this, which is what we do want.
Okay.
And you were really succinct and you really knew what you were talking about. And your choice of words was great. So you didn't have to over-explain it. It was just very, very simple the way you put it, which is going to lead to you having a lot more time for the coaches to really dig into this.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can keep going. And then, I have a lot of, mostly all positive, but I have a couple of things that I would just suggest that aren't even, critiques, just suggestions.
Yeah.
Again, I love that you had the mindset book. And I also push, you said it real briefly, but I think the mindset idea really does apply to life. So whenever I bring up that book, I like the way you said, like in teaching, it was really helpful. I mean, her book, talks about everything from parenting, teaching, the business world. Your mindset has a lot more to do with life necessarily than sports. So I think just making that connection a little bit stronger that, we've taken this research from Carol Dweck, but her focus was not just on sports.
Okay. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Even the E plus R equals O. I mean, just so I was laughing. My daughter was walking in and out, and she was the one I was having the conversation with this morning that you can't control the weather. You can only control how you respond to the weather. So that was so funny. She walked in and I was like, come here, listen to this. Yeah. I didn't want to hear it, but it was good timing. I really like too, the way you phrased, what are the odds that they're going to win the game? 50%. What are the odds they're going to give 100% effort? 100%. Which odds would you like to play? I mean, that's just a really simple way to put it to coaches. Mm-hmm. That, if you're going to make a bet that they're going to win, you might not win, but you're going to make a bet they're going to give 100% effort. That's it. So I think, again, that was a really simple way to put it in the minds of people that are like, oh yeah, it's actually dumb that I put all my focus on the winning.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I'm
Kelly,
looking for.
Kelly, can I jump in? I'm gonna counterpoint that. Okay. I respectfully counterpoint. The odds that an athlete's going to give 100% to me is not 100%. It's not 100%. That the odds to me, odds and what you can control are a little different. So, for me, the way that was explained didn't quite resonate and get the message that I think you wanted me to receive.
I took it as I don't know how he meant it, but I took it as, do you want to up the odds that your team is going to perform 100%. And I don't know if he said it.
Okay.
That's how I heard
Okay, well, if he had said that, then I would be comfortable with it. But what Ross said is, what are the odds that your team is going to give 100%? Or what? Yeah, what are the odds that your team's going to give great effort, whatever? You said 100%. Well, that's not true. Teams don't always give 100% effort. So anyway, it's a small thing, so I don't want to dwell on it.
Okay.
I did want to point out that for me, it didn't quite click.
How would you reward?
How much control do you have? How much control do you have over the result of this game? How much control do you have over your effort? Okay. To me, I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking, and I probably am. Kelly knows that I nitpick sometimes, but to me, there's a subtle difference there. So.
Okay.
And I take it, my stretch, again, the stretch suggestion I have is I take that concept, and I like the way, Ruben phrased it. That's pretty clear as well. But linking that to a coach, so what are you rewarding? Mm-hmm. And that goes right, because so many coaches just reward the win. I want you to win. I want you to score. I want you to shoot. I want you to get your, this time, this X amount of, minutes or seconds in your race. And if you are, as a coach, focusing on the effort, they're going to give more. Right. So coaches, we also have to focus on what we can control. And I think that's a point that for years as a PCA trainer, I never really thought about, is we always tell our athletes to focus on what you can control. But we as coaches have to focus on what we can control. And, I think that's just kind of the lead in, almost the tie in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ross, however you say it, I would just say keep the percentages, because that jumps significantly.
Okay.
When you're in the middle of a conversation, it kind of breaks up the words a little bit. And I think, people, when they hear numbers, it resonates a little higher than continuing to try to reiterate through words. So, so however you end up tweaking it, I personally like that percentage approach.
Okay.
Because it really did jump to me. I had made a note of it as well. And I kind of lean more towards Kelly's thought process, Ruben, but I certainly understand after hearing your reasoning where you came from.
So I'm going to add a little more, and you guys can disregard this, okay? But it'll make me feel better. How much control do I have over whether I eat a healthy lunch today? How much control do I have over whether I eat a healthy lunch? What do you think, Ross?
I would say fairly high, 90%.
Okay. What are the odds that I will eat a healthy lunch today?
Okay.
It's less, significantly less.
Yeah.
Just because I can control it doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
Okay. So just percentage versus odds.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The word odds, I think, doesn't work for me in this case.
Okay. That definitely makes sense.
It's percent of control, amount of control, to me, is the main point. Okay. Not the odds. The odds of it happening sure go up when we focus on something we can control. The odds of me eating a healthy lunch are higher than the odds. Actually, I can't even say that. I was going to say higher than the odds of my son eating a healthy lunch. But anyway, I've said enough.
That makes sense.
I'm going to move us on.
And just to add to that, Ross, this is something that I've seen Ruben do in workshops, and he does it really well. And he pulls up the largest human being he has at his workshop, and at the visual alone, we have this trainer, Cam Campbell, that's like, pushing 350 probably. And Ruben will bring up the biggest guy in the workshop and say, okay, if we were going to go head to head right now, if it was football, what is the percentage that I'm going to beat him and get him to push to the other side of the room? Or how do you say it? How do you say it?
I say, how much control do I have over the result of this?
There you go.
This I don't say the percentage. How much control? How much control do I have over the result? And then I also ask, how much control does Cameron have over the result?
Right.
Because people know that even though he's got this huge size advantage and youth advantage, that it's not 100% control.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But the other question is, what's your next question, Ruben?
Then my next question is, how much control do I have over my effort on this play? Right. And then everybody goes, oh, of course, you have way more control over your effort than you do over the result. And so does Cameron.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a fun visual too. Fun way to get the coaches like laughing hysterically, picturing Ruben and Cameron going head to head.
Ruben and anybody that looks semi-physical or athletic. It's a funny visual.
Yeah, it's a good one. Okay, so not to harp anymore, just a couple more suggestions that I have. Your personal stories were great. Ross, I think that's really what was missing the last time.
Okay.
I wanted to hear about you and just not only making it more of a personal connection, but as soon as you talked about how not all courses are the same and what are you in control of, I immediately translated to my sport. Well, all fields are the same. You know, I'm coaching lacrosse. Every field's exactly the same.
Right.
But automatically my mind started thinking about what is out of my control. So I think, and again, taking your specific sport of cross country is great translation to many sports, swimming, track, you know, things like that.
Right.
But have the coaches use your example. Okay, now think about your sport, the sport that you coach. What do you not have control over in your sport? So just take your personal examples and have the coaches think about it in terms of them, because that's what a story is for, is to get coaches using.
Before I ask.
What'd you say?
Move that before I ask them to write down the 3 things.
No, I would even do it after. I mean, I think in connection with your story, stories are great, and stories are a great springboard to have the coaches start thinking.
Yeah.
And I did it automatically. I thought that was really great. And then again, your personal story about how you personally use mastery.
Right.
And that goes right into the scenario. So you sort of ended your story and then said, let's look at a scenario. I like it when you can string so the coaches think that your story was built in perfectly to this PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So your story about mastery does link right into the scenario. I gave you a cross-country example. Well, what happens? Here's a scenario. Think about your own sport when your team's out there playing tentatively. How would you, I mean, I was tentative. I was nervous because all I wanted to do was win.
Right.
Now let's look at your sport. Okay. So just again, just more of a flow. I want the coaches to think that this PowerPoint, this whole workshop was made exactly for you, Ross, and exactly for the coaches in the room.
Gotcha.
So anytime you can make that just flow in, that would be great. The only other thing to add, when you talked about goals, I think goal setting is fantastic as well. The one exercise that I started doing lately that I really like is, what does maximum effort look like in your sport?
Okay.
I think a lot of youth coaches tell the kids all the time, give max effort, give max effort, give max effort. And I had a player one time that said, Coach, I am giving my best effort. And I said, you know, Ashley, I haven't seen you sprint for any of these loose balls. And she's like, oh, that's what you want me to do? And it was like a wake-up call for me that I'm telling her to give maximum effort, but she didn't even know what that looked like.
Yeah.
So having the coaches actually articulate in your sport, what does it mean? Well, in baseball, it means to run through first base. In volleyball, it means to, you know, back up the person that's going for the kill. You know, in swimming, it means to not breathe in the red zone. In cross country, it means run straight all the way through the finish line. You know, these are specific examples that coaches will be writing feverishly in their notes. They're like, oh, duh, I say that all the time. Keep your eye on the ball, give max effort. Kids have no clue what that stuff means. So
okay. That definitely makes sense.
Yep. All right, I'm done. Go ahead, Ruben or Ryan.
You go, Ryan.
Sure. There were just 2 real quick things. Ross, I thought you knocked it out of the park on this one in terms of showing your personality again. And again, pulling those specific examples. And I think I got that feel from you, when we first met in person. So I thought that was great. 2 things I know, Kelly hit on it about when you referenced Carol's book and how she makes real life examples.
Yeah.
Big thing that I like to see is especially in the Elm Tree of Mastery.
Yeah.
Specifically pointing out, hey, think of your position, not just as a coach, but as a professional, whatever you're doing full time, or even as a parent. These 3 things in whatever walks of life are the 3 things. They're your controllables, right? We basically just defined your controllables. So I think what I really like to see, and what I'm really trying to push, especially here in Cleveland, is the direct connection between the better people portion of what our mission is and how that translates into real life, right? Because that's what we keep talking about is those life experiences that you learn through sports, but then going a little bit of a step further and actually showcasing how that can be implemented in their real day lives.
Okay.
Outside of the sports event. So that's just one thing. And then the other thing that I had was I'm a visual person. So if when you're telling your story about, how you end up getting that bronze medal in the World Championships, if you have that and are able to bring it and kind of pull it out and say, and for my effort and for focusing, I got this, and pull that out. To me, that's when we read a book as an entire staff, The Power of Moments, to me, showing a bronze medal to a group that have probably never seen one before at a world stage, that's a wow factor moment that, you know, I'm sure some people like you are probably like, well, I don't want to like tout that too much. But to me, you know, if I'm sitting in the room, I've never seen one of those. That's a really cool moment. You'll probably get people to come up and talk to you and engage with you more after to see it, to ask you more questions. And so that's just a wow factor visual moment that I think would be impactful for me to see as somebody in the audience.
Awesome. I will. That's a good idea, Ryan. Thank you.
Yep. That's it from me.
Oh, Ryan, you got me thinking about
your trophies.
Oh, well, yeah. All the
you need your case.
All
you need your case on wheels.
All the trophies I put into recycling. I did hang on to my NCAA championship ring, and that's an easy one to take places. But so you got me thinking. Hey, so Ross, you know, boy, you know, if you were doing a workshop tomorrow, I'd say ignore all this feedback, pick one thing and add it in, like you did. More personal examples, you know, because I think a lot of feedback can be overwhelming. But I also realize, and I think you do, that we're fine tuning here. You're really strong, Ross. Really strong. With fine tuning in mind, are you doing a presentation or are you leading a workshop? When you work with PCA, when Ryan sends you out to represent PCA, are you doing a presentation or are you doing a workshop?
Leading a workshop.
Absolutely. So don't call it a presentation.
Okay.
Eliminate the word presentation.
Gotcha. Got it. Okay.
Easy, right?
Yes.
Except I forget sometimes.
Go ahead.
During the scoreboard mastery comparison.
Yeah.
Big chunk of this workshop, kind of the heart of this workshop, is the difference. You moved at a good clip there, and still it's a lot of information. And so of all the times during your workshop today, that was the longest period where it was just your voice.
Okay.
It wasn't very long. It might have been 90 seconds. I didn't time it. It might have been 2 minutes, but it wasn't very long. I would break it up. Somewhere in there, I would ask a question. And it doesn't have to be a question, pair up with somebody, and it could be, you know, what, anyway, yeah, what does effort look like in your sport? Somebody give me one example of what effort looks, you know, whatever. Just one question to break up your voice.
Okay.
With me on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, okay. The concept of flushing mistakes, is it a silly concept?
The concept is not silly, no.
It is not silly. When Kobe Bryant was interviewed after a game where the Lakers had played poorly, when he said, we just got to flush this and get on with it, he was not being silly. And so, you know, there's just no reason to say, you know, flush it as silly, you know, and I don't mention the word toilet, because then it can become silly.
Okay.
You know, I don't mention the word toilet when I talk about mistake, ritual, or flush.
Gotcha.
In fact, I say flush it down the drain and we move forward. But I do not use the word toilet, and I'm certainly not going to say plant the seed that it could be a silly concept.
Okay.
Right? Why take away credibility? You know. So you got me on that, right? You're with me. Yeah. So let's finish with two more strengths in addition to the great personal examples. And this one ties in. I thought you had a real nice mix and balance between PCA stuff and Ross stuff.
Okay.
I thought it was a nice blend, a nice mix. And then I like how you pulled out the book and held it up, and on page 20, very specific, on page 23, mistake ritual, lots of examples. I just love the strong, solid book reference.
Awesome. Thank you.
So Ross, do you have any questions for us to tap in before, because you're going out next Wednesday, I believe.
Yes.
And you know, obviously we're all available as a resource anytime, but if there's anything after just doing this, I suggested that you do the E-Tank and Elm Tree principles. If you want, I mean, if you speak to Steve, and like we've had it before where the mentor trainer has opened up the workshop and closed the workshop, and you do all 3 principles. It's up to you. The benefit of doing a co-facilitation is that you get to learn from Steve as well. So sometimes if you're doing the whole thing right away, you miss out on that opportunity to learn, pick up a couple things from him too. So that's why I say half. But if you have any questions for us, let us know.
Just kind of on the back side of things, is he going to reach out to the partners? He's going to do all that stuff ahead of time, and for lack of a better word, just show up and
it's all outlined in the email that I just sent. It's got all the details that you need to know about all of that. Steve's going to take care of all the logistical stuff.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to worry about it. And then after, if that goes well, when you become a certified trainer, you'll have an onboard call with Sonia DeWitt, our trainer manager, and she's going to give you it's about a half an hour phone call where she gives you all the details on how to get logged in and how to do all the invoicing and text to sign in and all that jazz.
Got it. Okay. Just one quick question. Do I get paid being an associate trainer, or is that later on down the road?
You get paid for mileage, but you don't get paid for the workshop until you're a certified trainer.
Got it. That makes sense.
We're hoping once and done. That's what I'm thinking, that one time out and you should be good to go.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it will be sooner than later.
Sweet.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys. So do you think showing my little 11-year-old team this year is going to work instead of a bronze world medal? Do you think that'll increase my credibility? I just look at it on my desk. I'm like, boy, that's my greatest accomplishment this year, my 10 and 11-year-old lacrosse players. So
it impresses me. It impresses me big time.
I'll bring it to my next workshop, see if I get the kudos.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks guys.
Everybody.
Thanks very much, Ross.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. Thanks for you guys' time and your feedback. And super appreciate everything. Thank you, guys.
Well, congratulations. You're now officially an associate trainer, and we'll get you logged into the system. I'll send you an email right now that has this recording, and I'll introduce you to Sonia via email so you can have that information too.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your hard work, Ross.
Hey, great job, Ross.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks for doing this, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.